It's 6 o'clock on January 22nd. I'm Mark McIntyre, Chair of the Southampton Village Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. Joining us by Zoom tonight is Board Member Jeff Broadley. We have Board Members Jane Clare and Susan Stevenson with us. Therefore, we have quorum. So, motion to open the January 22nd meeting of the Southampton Village Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Also joining us tonight in person is Alex Wallach, our planning director, our counsel Alice Cooley, Jackie Allen's in the back recording, and Sage Certain is our videographer in the back. So with that, I believe we are ready to move along. The first order of business, we have two sets of minutes to approve. The first one is from December the 11th. Board members, did you receive the minutes?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to review them?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so any questions or comments? Okay. Motion to accept the minutes of December 11th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second, we had the minutes from January 8th from last meeting, 2024. Did everyone receive the minutes?
I did, but I wasn't.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I'm out.
Okay. Did you have a chance to review them?
I might still have some comments on those. Do you think
Okay.
we could approve those at the next meeting?
Easily.
Thank
Okay. Written decisions, we have none. We have some adjournment requests tonight, so I'm going to motion to accept the applicant request for adjournments from 300 North Main Street LLC to February the 12th, for 242 South Main Street LLC to February 12th, and for On Holdings LLC to February the 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The other request for an adjournment we have is for 98 Pheasant Close East. This has now surpassed our policy for how many times a application can be adjourned. So I'm going to motion to remove this from the agenda and ask that Ron and Sandy Diamond renotice this project at 98 Pheasant Close East before it goes back on the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, we have sign permits, starting with Alex Vanash at 25 Hampton Road. Sign committee, do you want to have any comments before we move on?
Jane, you can since you're there, but they did not show the last time, so I don't know if they're here now.
Yeah, and
Okay.
there were no new plans.
I didn't
in
see any
the folder.
plans.
There were no new plans, so are they here at all?
I didn't see materials. Okay.
You can adjourn that?
Okay. Motion to adjourn the sign request for Alex Vanash and NY to February, what's this, 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
Can I just ask that the building department send them a notice? Because either they don't know or they're ignoring us.
Okay.
Would you like them to appear at the next meeting?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
and if they don't appear at the
fine.
next meeting, they'd have to renotice.
All right, we'll send them.
Well, no,
this,
we don't notice
Well,
those.
no, we don't assign, so
No.
they'd have to reapply.
okay.
Okay. Then the next sign we have is for Wells Fargo, 111 Main Street, also known as 25 Nugent Street, for a wall sign. Is the applicant here? Okay.
Are they coming in?
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Yeah, Kevin. Last name is Ream. R-E-I-M as in Mary.
Okay. And you
And
are with?
I'm here as well for the sign aspect of it, Rachel McCarthy.
Great. All right. Do you guys want to present?
Yeah. Did you receive our revised plans?
Yes.
We did. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, we took into consideration lowering the square footage on both of them to 19 square feet. Got rid of the black. Got rid of the red to match the black that CBS has. And then, as you see on the elevation for Nugent Street, we centered our sign based on our storefront, and then also showed what eventually, when they get a new tenant for the other side of the building, where that sign would likely go.
Yep. Can you talk to me about the light bars for a minute?
I can speak speak to the light bars.
Great.
They will be 1 foot longer than the sign. That means they're gonna be 15 foot, 5.5 inches. They'll be centered above the sign.
When do we do that?
And are the actual black letters on the sign backlit?
They are not illuminated.
Okay.
Is there a precedent for light bars?
There is not.
Well, better think about it. I'm not for it.
Jeff,
Too
Jeff,
commercial.
Yeah, we haven't done light bars per se. We've done more traditional gooseneck lights. I don't know what's on CVS. I can't recall it off the top of my head. Maybe you folks do.
I think there may be a picture.
Well, having been on these boards for a long time, goosenecks were okay. Anything else was not.
Right.
And so to have this giant, I don't want to change it. Why are we doing that?
So, and what's on CVS? I can't.
I
recall.
think they have goosenecks too.
They have gooseneck lighting.
So why are we, I don't want to set a precedent for new kind of lighting. I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
think
and-
it's good for the village.
And in terms of consistency on that building, it would seem to me to be appropriate to keep the lighting format the same.
Jane?
My question is on the, Nugent Street side, where you have Wells Fargo on only half the building and then the other is gonna be a tenant. Will
Yes,
they
that is
be-
correct.
Will they have the same,
We won't know.
right, and so it just sort of
We
seems-
can't help it.
Yeah, we can't help it.
Well, is that not an obligation of the landlord
To do what?
to either submit the application or acknowledge that the signage will be consistent? As we did on that property on
Hampton
Hampton
Road.
Road.
That's interesting. That's a good point. Well, I think we should make some kind of condition probably. Is anyone representing the landlord or just?
That seems like overreaching at this
Really?
point.
We just did, I
But-
don't think so.
But all the tenants were already there. We had the
Where?
on Hampton Road. We said,
Uh,
okay, you've got all your signs pending, make them all consistent.
I don't think.
I don't
think
agree
the
with you.
dent- I
It's-
don't think
it's
the
a part of
dentist
the-
was
it's-
there.
Well, if you
Joey.
want to do it contrary to my advice, feel free to do so.
I
Let me
do.
Go for it.
let me ask a question, because on what I'm seeing, it says light bar optional
Really?
on the back page here. So are you guys married to the light bar, or what? Are we?
We can switch to goosenecks if that's what you would prefer.
You know, here's my issue with the light bar when I'm looking at the side of the building that faces into the parking lot. It actually obscures a little of the interesting architectural element of the building, and I think it's a little precedent setting. So, from my perspective, I think the size of the sign is fine. Thank you for hearing us on the black. I would prefer that you come back to us with a different light fixture and versus the light bar.
Understood. And goosenecks would be your preference.
It's one of those things we'd have to see it, but I think it would be more appropriate to that section of the village and to the village overall.
And I have a question on this particular image. It looks like there's already lights up there. Are those,
There are.
so do we need more lights?
So can you speak to this? Because banks have to have, it was a certain amount of bright light, is that correct?
If there was an ATM there, but there's
Oh.
not.
But there was? Yes.
Uh,
Yeah,
But there's not.
okay.
But those two
Those
lights,
big lights.
the two lights that are facing the parking lot are existing, correct?
Well, look at all these lights.
The lights in the parking lot are existing,
Yeah.
however, they do not illuminate the signage.
Right. No, I understand that. Okay.
Mark, look at these lights on the building. I mean, are those staying?
That's an applicant question. On your,
It's the side where CVS is, I believe.
I understand. Well, those three lights are existing, right? They're just not,
They're existing because there was an ATM in there and there laws about how, that it needs to be very bright where there's an ATM,
I
by
understand.
the way. But if there doesn't need to be an ATM, then I don't know why it's pretty bright.
All right. I think the issue, I'm sorry, because you're not here in the room. The issue that we're looking at is when I look at the photograph of the building and the location, the big exterior existing lights that are there, they differ a little bit from what we're seeing, but those are existing. So, and they don't illuminate your sign and they face the parking lot, but they're existing. So the question we have now is if board members, let's break this down. How do you feel about the black lettering and the size of the actual logos?
Black lettering and the size is fine.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that we're fine with the black lettering and the size. If you just want to come back to us with a different suggestion how you want to illuminate it.
Okay.
And what about
Do you
this?
have
What
do
about,
you have a preference if we do gooseneck lighting? If a color for them?
You mean
You want us to match black with the sign?
no, usually it matches the facade where it's being mounted.
Gray. Okay.
Okay,
And you know, drive around. I mean,
Yeah.
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
all right. And do we feel that way across the front of the building facing Nugent as well?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Are there any comments from the public? Thank you. All right. So I think you know where the board stands. So do you want to adjourn and come back with a different lighting plan, or can we approve the signage itself but not the lighting, or should we wait and do this in one fell swoop? Alice?
I would do it all at once.
Okay. So if you guys want to come back with the different, you know where we stand on the size and the color of the logos. If you just want to come back with a different solution from the lighting exteriorly.
You
All
got
right.
it. Yep.
All right. All right. So are you requesting an adjournment to the next?
I guess we can probably have it for to the next hearing. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. So motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment for 111 Main Street, also known as 25 Nugent Lane, for signage for Wells Fargo. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Lolly Nail Salon at 36 Hampton Road for a wall sign.
Uh-oh.
Is the applicant here?
Do you think they don't know to come? Alex?
It's possible, since it's a little bit of a new procedure. I think Rory was clear with
What's
them.
new about it?
I think.
Well, the certain
Denise
applications,
is familiar.
right?
What?
Disregard what I said.
Okay, sign committee members, do you have any input here?
Well, we still don't know what the sign is gonna be made out of. It says woodiness, and then it says plywood, and we weren't really sure.
Okay,
They do not show any kind of a sign, they just
put letters on a wall.
wrote
All
it
right,
on the wall.
Well,
right?
I think that's what's there now on this particular building might be the same thing.
No, there's a red sign.
There's
I
a
went
red-
by
yeah,
today.
there's a
red
different sign there right now.
today.
all right, so what I'm gonna do, suggest we do is this. I'm gonna suggest we adjourn this. We can adjourn this until the next meeting, but Alex, can you communicate that with them? We expect like some samples to know what the sign is, what the materials are, and maybe someone to talk to us?
I'll ask them to appear at the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
that would be
the only
good.
things, I'm looking at the minutes from the last meeting, and it said that we, oh no, actually, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong one, never mind.
Okay, so motion adjourn
Yeah,
the application for Lolly Nail Salon to February 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Next up, we have public hearing we don't have. So next up is a demolition evaluation for 47 Palatros Street for the demo evaluation for existing dwelling and detached garage. Hello?
From Meeting House Lane, Southampton, New York. Good evening. Since the last hearing, we received the historic consultant's report. The historic consultant found that the Structure did not meet any of the 6 criteria for landmarking. So based on that, I don't think I really have more to add, and I would ask that the board approve the demolition application.
Board members, comments?
The fact that the integrity of the house appears to be very high, and I think that it's a quintessential Southampton bungalow / cottage. I would like to see whoever is doing this to add on to the house instead of demoing it.
Where we stand right now, because this is not in a historic district, we have 2 choices.
I know, I understand that.
Yeah, we can.
I just wanted to make
Yeah,
my.
no, I appreciate that. Jeff, Susan?
What can you say? I think it's too bad. That's how it goes.
I did not read Zach's report, but, you know, with Jane, I'm in agreement that this represents an era and a style and look at the time. But Zach did not concur with that at all.
It just doesn't meet the 5 points. Did someone famous live there? Is it,
It doesn't meet any of the criteria. Not one.
It means none of the. It means none of the. In Zach's report, it means none of the criteria as to be a village landmark.
Right, okay. In which case, I think, as Susan says, what can be said?
what can be done? Nothing,
What can be done?
sadly.
Sadly. All right. So my motion then is to not seek landmark status for 47 Palatro Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed?
I'm opposed.
1 opposed. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Sad that is. All right. So next up is 36 Main Street. Now we had asked for a historic report that I don't know that I've seen. Can you give us some color on that, Alex?
Yeah, so we had referred this to Zach for a report. I know one of the things that Zach was looking for was a historic photo of the building that might show its original design intent. I had done a little bit of research on my own from available Sanborn maps, and I had sent out a little bit of the history of the building, which we think dates from, it's originally from 1904, but it's evolved significantly over the years, and its current configuration, we think, goes back to between 1926 and 1932. But it's been a little bit tricky to find an image of what it might have looked like at that time. I know that one of the things the board was looking for was trying to bring it closer to its original period of significance. So that's, I think, been, we haven't received a report from Zach yet, but I think that's been the challenge, is finding some visual evidence to document that.
Okay. What I would say is, if that's the case, I would still expect from Zach something in writing that states that to the board. Because right now we have a request for a historic report. We don't have a report, but we don't have anything. So if there's not, or they haven't found historic documentation of this building, I would need that as part of the record.
You know, it's a little hard for me to imagine that a structure on Main Street would not have been pictured somewhere in newspapers at some period in time.
Even in like a parade, you know, it's not like. It's
All right,
a
so the
much
question-
photographed street.
Okay. So we're not going to make a decision until we have something in writing from Zach, but in the meantime, I know you're here to represent the application. If you want to introduce yourself and see what we can say.
John Laffey, architect, and I gave the presentation on the last meeting on November 27th, and we're still waiting for a response from Zach to comment. And
Yes,
I
that's
respect
true.
that, so when you get that, I guess we'll move forward. I don't know how else to proceed.
Yeah,
We don't either.
I'm with you. I mean, I have thoughts about what you want to do, but I actually think to do the right thing by the board, I need that information in order to actually be responsible to this application. I'm sorry.
So do we
Okay.
think in 2 weeks, maybe?
We have no control over it.
What I will do is let's adjourn this to the 12th. and I will talk to Zach, and then we'll see where we go.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm actually going to adjourn this at the chairman's request for 36 Main Street to February 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, John.
Okay, so next up, on my little list there, Elizabeth, is 80 Wandanch Lane. Tina and Kiram Semi.
Evening.
Evening.
This was a request for approval to demolish the residence, which was improperly listed as a contributing structure. The application was filed on October 23rd, and notice for hearing on November 27th. On November 21st, Zach Studenoff visited the property. We were here on the 27th. No written report had been prepared for the board. We're here again on December 11th. We're here the last meeting. I didn't see a report in the file. Does anybody have a report?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
But let me correct one thing. This is actually an application to reclassify what is currently listed as a contributing structure. That's the first thing that has to be dealt with.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah. Well, no, you said it was an application for a demolition application.
No, I said
So
application to demolish and to unlist in effect a contributing structure.
well,
I understand you have to do
Yeah.
you have to do that first.
Yeah.
I get it.
well, a couple things here. Listen, this is an important decision because it's the first time we've actually, and to my knowledge or your knowledge, been ever asked to consider, and probably Jeff's in a long time, to actually even consider delisting a historic structure.
Although I will say, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I have, and I can demonstrate this to the board, the board has allowed the demolition of contributing structures in the past. I probably have 3 or 4 files on that. For example, the Philip Johnson
Oh, yes.
addition to this. So the board has actually allowed.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
They have allowed
Mhm.
destruct, but this is the first time we have a new code now that if something is a historic resource in a historic district, in order to be considered for demolition, it has to come with the recommended plan of what you would replace it with.
Has to.
It also has to include the plan.
That's if you want to do them. This is something entirely different. This is a request. This is that it was done in error.
I understand. So,
Before,
but again,
not that I'm asking to demolish a contributing structure. This is functionally something very, very different. I'm glad we're talking about this. It should never have been a contributing structure. Therefore, the criteria that you would apply to a contributing structure, which is in your code, does not apply to this.
I think what the chairman is trying to say
Right.
is that the reason that the board is being very deliberative about this application is because this is the first time we're dealing with the new code in dealing with a demolition of what is, rightly or wrongly, listed as a contributing structure within the historic district. And so we're very seriously considering your application. And so we've gone back and forth with Zach, and he now understands that we need him to do a forensic analysis of this structure.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that the way I read the code, I don't need to show you what I'm going to replace it with, because it's not like I'm not asking to demolish a structure that is a contributing structure. What I'm saying to you is this is an improperly classified
Right.
contributing structure.
Well,
so I think you have to get to that.
Right.
That's
The
where
way
the-
first.
that's
the
where
way
the
I
delisting
read the code, we have to
determination
make
is.
the determination if it can
Yes.
be delisted before we can address.
Oh, I don't disagree with
before you
that.
can address the
Oh, I don't
demolition.
disagree with that.
And also-
my ire is
yeah.
the fact that it's
Yeah, but
taken
you know,
so long. Yeah.
it's also because it also involves the state, because we're a certified local government, and this is the first time we've really faced this kind of decision.
Mhm.
We are being very deliberate, and I think
You should be.
we've gone back and forth with the state. We've gone back and forth with Zach. We've gone back and forth with Alex, understanding exactly what it is that we need, because this is not in any way, shape, or form a standard request that we've had before. So
No, I
I
have no
think
issue with
I think doing the right thing to the village is the path that we're going down. And in order to do the forensic report, it's going to require interior access to the house, which I believe you're aware of. and that has been agreed to that I'm aware of. So I will talk to Zach and we'll get it done as quickly as we can to where we feel like we have full documented records on our side.
I understand, and you should. Certainly, no one wants to inhibit your ability to establish a complete record. I understand that I'm asking you to do something that's that you're not generally familiar with, and you want to make sure that you're crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I do have this. This was emailed to the town, or the village, excuse me, this evening, and I do have copies. Well, let me do it this way. But I have copies for everyone. Alex, I'll give you the original, and if you can pass them down, and I just wanted to have a separate copy of council. And what this is I think it should be helpful. Part of this was a barn that was part of an agricultural complex on Wyandanch, and I think it's very helpful, as I mentioned at the last hearing, that there were two structures on the adjacent property to the south, which, in viewing my 1917 Belcher Hyde Atlas, were part of this property. So 80 and 90 were the same, and back in 2009. Those structures, which were part of that farm complex, there was a demolition was allowed on those two structures. It just goes again to show you how this structure, particularly in light of the fact that it was converted and stepped on from what was an agricultural building to this faux Normandy building. Those two structures, which were intact, were allowed demolition permits. And what's interesting, I thought in particular, was the one, and you'll see it, it's in your package. That's essentially the same barn building that started off as what 80 Wyandanch is now, before it was stepped on about five different times. So this was an intact accessory structure to the south, which is part of the same complex, which was allowed a demolition, as well as
What's the house next door? Yeah.
as well as another adjacent farm building.
There's reference to this included in the report that we have.
Excuse me?
The
It may very well be. Yes, it
it's
is. But I
actually-
wanted to. Yes,
a lot
it
of
is.
this is already in the applicant.
Yeah. But I wanted to highlight it. I think it's quite important. But yes, it is in the very exhaustive Civic Visions report. So the only thing that I would ask you again is that you obviously do your job in the way that you see fit, which is, and when I say do your job, I do it thoroughly. I'm not being critical of that. It has been a while, and this I thought it was very clear in my application what we wanted you to do. So to the extent that we can help you in terms of access or anything like that,
Thank
please, Zach can contact me directly, or you can contact me directly on his behalf, or whatever you want to do.
It'll go through Alex in the building department.
Fine. But
Okay.
I would just again ask.
Look, we understand that you're being patient with us because it's a new procedure, and we do appreciate it.
Which I wasn't the last time, was
What?
I? See
Well,
how nice I'm being right now?
Yes.
You know?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we're
But
profanity,
you know,
we're
just
profanity
remember,
free.
you can declassify these things. You have the ability in the board to
Yes.
classify them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can.
Yes.
So, what you can giveth, you can taketh away.
Well,
so
there's can and there should. So let us get what we need. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to actually adjourn this at the chairman's request for 80 Wyandanch to February the 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up then is 383 First Neck Lane to demolish and rebuild the central section of existing dwelling. I think I've seen the applicant. No, they're probably coming in. It's Frank. He's probably coming in. Is Frank coming in? There he is.
Thank you. Frank Greenwald, architect, the applicant for 383 First Neck Lane. We've been through this a bunch of times, so I just want to thank everybody on board for all their work on this and their patience with us. It's been a,
That goes both ways. Thank you as well.
been a long process, but I think it ultimately will result in a good product. So you all have in front of you a set of revised design drawings, which I believe incorporates all the concerns and all the historical data that we've uncovered over the past couple of meetings with board members at the site and at these hearings, and Zach Studenroth's report and meetings. And I guess his last supplemental memo of the 7th of December. And also, for what it's worth, Bob Rubio's. Bob Rubin, sorry, thank you. Bob Rubin's letters. So I think where we are is the concept would be to keep the original front portion of the building, the big 2.5-story building, keep the lean-to portion to the north, keep both of those intact, keep what we've defined, all of us I think are on the same page, what we've defined as the Atterbury addition, keep that as it exists today, remove the southern porch, which we all sort of agreed, and I don't need to put words in anybody's mouth, but I will. I think we've all agreed that that southern porch has been changed so many times over the years. There's not much to it, which Zach's report of the 7th of December sort of concurs with that comment. We would then remove portions of the 2005 edition. We would alter the 2005 garage master suite mass. And I guess I can sort of walk through the drawings with you and we'll sort of talk about it. Just sort of as a reminder, none of these proposed changes are visible from the street, and I don't believe we've got any neighbor comments.
Do you actually have the plans and the ability to share them for the public?
Right here. So this is the survey, and you can see in yellow the portion of the house that is to remain, the original box of the house, the north lean-to, and the Atterbury addition with the little 1-story addition on the south side, which was added later, but which we're basically going to keep. This in yellow is the existing 2005 garage, master bedroom suite above it, which we will keep and alter. And this in green is the 2-story. Is the existing 2005 addition, which we would remove.
Shall we come to an understanding about what to remain means?
So what would remain is, let me pull up the drawings. I think that might be, so this is the proposed ground floor plan. This is the north lean-to, which would remain. This is the original body of the house, the 2.5-story body of the house, which would remain. This is the front porch, which would remain. This on the south end, on the bottom, is the porch, the screen porch that exists now, which would be removed, and we would convert into a sort of sunroom in keeping with the style of the Atterbury addition. This is the Atterbury addition, which would remain. This is the 2005 garage, and the rest of this is all new. And let's look at the, I think it might be easier to see the.
When you say it's all new, do you mean all new that you're removing, or all new that's being added?
All new being added.
Okay.
So this, at the top is the street elevation, the east elevation. You can see the existing 2.5-story house. The existing porch remains. The existing lean-to on the north side remains. On the south side, this would be a new sunroom that sort of appears as it was an original porch. We would copy sort of detailing of the Atterbury front porch. and make it appear as if there's a porch that was enclosed as a sunroom. And then well behind it is, on the left side, is the 2005 garage, which we would renovate. We're proposing to renovate. As we go to the bottom elevation, this is the north elevation. So starting from the left, we have the Atterbury front porch, which would remain. We have the 2.5-story original house, which would remain. We have the lean-to on the north end, which would remain. We have the Atterbury addition, which is sort of clearly defined here, which would remain. We would then remove the 2005 addition and replicate it with, or replace it rather, with this two-story addition. As we go around to the rear of the building, this on the left side is all new. On the right side, this is the existing garage master suite, 2005 portion, which we would sort of renovate and change dormers around and redo the whole thing. And all the way in the background, you can see the original 2005, I'm sorry, the original 2.5-story mass of the house. And as we go around to the south elevation, on the left side, again, you can see the existing front porch, which would remain, the existing 2.5-story original house, which would remain. In front of that would be this new proposed sunroom to replace the existing screen porch, which would be detailed like the front porch, the Atterbury porch. To the left of that here is a combination of the existing Atterbury second floor with, at some point, there was this first floor addition added to. We're proposing to basically keep that except replace the windows on the ground floor, windows and doors on the ground floor. And then on the left, this is the 2005 garage master suite, which we're proposing to refenestrate and change the roof lines, dormers, etc. So I've rambled on a bit. I don't know if any of that makes sense. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, I have a couple of questions. What are you hoping to accomplish tonight?
So yeah, that's actually a very good question. I know this is not sort of a final submission. What I'm hoping to get from the board is just a sort of general nod about whether this is sort of headed in the right direction or not.
Okay.
It's sort of a complicated deal between my client who's purchasing this and the current owner, and what we're sort of looking for from the board is just some nod as, are we going in the right direction? Does this make sense?
Great.
Or do we hate all of this?
Okay, that's, could you take us through what is sort of right now your construction methodology? Are you lifting this house and putting a basement in? Are you putting it back on a foundation? Are you?
Yes, our proposal would be to lift up the original portion of the house, the north lean-to and the Atterbury addition, raise that up, build a proper foundation with usable space in the basement underneath it, replace the brick veneer around the sides, and plop the building back down.
And the building go back down to its current foundation height?
Yes.
Okay.
And its current location.
And can you take me through the current existing?
But what about the existing floor members?
I'll get there.
Sorry.
Can you take me through the ceiling height between the floors will remain consistent with what is there now, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is the note about the floor members that's in here?
Well, we would remove the ground floor framing and reframe a new deck and then drop the house down onto a new deck. At the moment, I'm thinking that that's the way to create a usable, that's the most efficient way to create the most usable space in the basement. Because right now there are sort of columns every, I don't know, 7 or 8, 10 feet, something down there. If we were to raise it up, build a new deck and then drop the existing house down on the deck, we could create a more open basement space.
Okay.
But the structure, you know, the exterior shell of the structure would remain the same. You know, would remain as existing. We would just drop it back down. We did something very similar to that down at 99 South Main Street, the old Peter Halleck's old house.
Okay.
And we've done it a bunch of times. We did it 303 First Snake Lane, the carriage house in the back. We picked it up, we built a new foundation, dropped it back down. You know, built a new foundation, a new first floor deck, and then dropped the building down on top of it. You know, this has water issues in the basement, and you know, very low ceiling height. You know, and of course, everyone wants a usable basement today.
Okay. Board members, do you have questions? Or comments? I'll take comments.
I'm trying to understand when you're saying a new decking, whether you would be removing all those old beams that we had seen when we saw the house. So those would be eliminated. Is that correct?
Yes, in the the basement ceiling, yes, that would be eliminated.
Is there a methodology by which you could lit the house and put it down without removing that historic material and still achieve what you're looking for?
Not without. The issue is, you know, when they built these old houses originally, the basement was nothing. I mean, it was not a usable space,
right,
for the most part. So there were, you know, they were short spans. They dealt with the lumber that they had at the time. There were short spans. You know, today we sort of frame the first floor decking out of steel, you know, steel girders, and then you know, the framing today can span 20 feet easily without any deflection, and create sort of usable open space down there. So, you know, it would be a way to create a usable basement without, you know, and create the things that everybody has down their basement without, you know, having to create more space on the ground.
Are you planning on doing a basement below the old garage / new master?
No, we were thinking we would leave that. That foundation is in fairly good shape. We would frame a new first floor deck at the level of the existing first floor. So we would create, in effect, a 2 or 3 foot crawl space below that to run mechanicals.
Yeah, I would rather see a basement under the new part, since we wouldn't be upsetting the old part. If they need more basement space, I would think that would be the way to go.
Well, I mean, if you sort of look at this, there's, you know, what we're calling now the library, which is the north lean-to, the existing 2.5-story building, and the Atterbury space, that's 75% of the whole house. The only part that's really added is, you know, the west porch and this gallery. That's really it. You know, the kitchen, the dining room is all part of the Atterbury addition, plus that 1-story addition that was done at some point on the south side of the Atterbury, which is sort of here.
And the new space in the rear will not have a basement either?
Yes, this will all have a basement. This new entrance, the new gallery, the new stair. The only place that would remain a crawl space would be this section here, which is the existing garage.
Just seems like that would be a great place to put the basement, since you wouldn't be upsetting the old beams.
Well, that's just that it's not large enough to fit any kind of real program into it. It's 25 by 30 or something. You know. And as I said, you know, we're really, the only new foundation work would be this, you know, this section here, this gallery, the stair, that would really be it. So it would, you know, digging this out and you know, making a full basement under this 2005 garage really is not enough square footage to do much with. I mean,
Well,
these
here's-
things are all replicable, but-
Okay. Jeff, Susan, comments?
Not right now.
Okay. Jeff?
No, I think directionally, at least, the outer structure of the house seems to be, well thought out. And Frank has listened to both the board and the historic, consultant, so that's all good. The basement is a bit of an issue, but directionally, I think he's headed in the right direction.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Okay. Great.
I mean, the only thing I would add regarding the basement is that you know, it's sort of a great way to achieve additional square footage without affecting what you see above ground. You know, it's an efficient way to, you know, put playroom and staff stuff and mechanicals and, you know, wine and gyms and all the things that all these houses sort of request today. You know, if we don't have the ability to do that in the basement, then we're looking at adding more square footage above, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think we have Gil Flanagan, who's our legal representative.
Is Gil coming in? Gil?
See him.
I hear tail, he's here. Hang on.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there he is. Hello, Gil. Can you
Hi, how are you?
introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yeah, Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street, Southampton. I'm representing the applicant who's the contract vendee. I guess the only point I wanted to make is with respect to the comments about the basement structure and the framing and so forth. I think Frank has made it clear that what is going to happen is not going to affect in any way the exterior appearance of the building, particularly the original house and the Atterbury addition. And I believe that your regulations focus mainly on the exterior appearance. So when you're considering all of this, I would ask you to take that into consideration. I think obviously we want the building to be as structurally sound as it possibly can be, and doing it by modern standards in the basement, which is construction that's not visible to anyone except the people in the basement, would probably enhance the life of the house itself. That's the only technical point I think I would want to make. I will say that a lot of serious thought has gone into this, and we appreciate the opportunity to have visited the site with Zach and certain of the board members, and I think this is something that's moving in the right direction as far as I can see. That's really all I have to say, and I hope it's constructive.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? We have someone else coming in.
See, what do I do now here?
I think we'll take you out and
Yeah, you can take me out. I think
You've done enough damage.
someone else is new, right?
He declined. All right. Frank, here's where I think we are. I think, first of all, you and your client have been very patiently working with us because this is an important historic house of the village, and it's highly appreciated. The work that we did to figure out what was the Atterbury addition was useful. I think we're hearing from the board that as far as the exterior look and the plans that you have to preserve what you're preserving and the portions you're removing makes sense with what we've heard from the historic consultant, and you seem to have agreement for that point. I think what you're hearing is just some concern about removing historic material from the floor plates, so I would just ask you to think about that. And when you, a couple of the things that we'll be looking for when you come back with a full plan would be construction methodology. And because it's an important house, the more detail, the better. I think is what you're hearing. But directionally, from where you are now, from where you would like to go, I think I'm hearing from the board that you're on track, and there seems to be general agreement that you're heading in the right direction.
Great,
Okay.
excellent.
So then the real question comes: when do you think you'd be ready to come back and talk about this again?
Let's adjourn it for another month.
Okay. So it's February
26th.
20. Do you think you'll be ready by February 26th?
Yes,
All right. So you'd like to adjourn to the 26th?
that would be perfect.
Okay. So a motion to accept the applicant's request to adjourn for 383 First Neck Lane to February 26th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you. We really appreciate all the work here.
No, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an important house.
It is. We agree. Thank you.
All right. Sure, then we have 3 adjournments. Okay, so next up, we're going to carry over matters non-historic, and the first up is 53 Halsey Street. If you guys want to come up and prep yourselves, give me just a minute because I need to put away a bunch of large paperwork.
And I will be recusing myself from this, so Sage, if you want to, I'll block myself out, I'll get a glass of water. But if you have to do something technically to block me out, please do so. And then just tell me when I can come back in.
We shall do it. Give me 1 second. There's so much paperwork on this, it's just taking me a minute. Okay. State your name for the record, please, sir.
Okay, I'm Jim McChesney. I'm the architect for this project at 53 Halsey Street.
Okay.
And we are presenting a new design tonight. We got your comments from the last time we saw you and hopefully incorporate them into this design.
Sage, can you hear him?
Yeah, actually, if
Do you
you
want to
just want to
sit?
sit down and talk into the mic, that's the best way here.
Yeah, I was saying that we're here to present a new design. We heard your comments from the last meeting, and we hopefully incorporated them into this. Mainly, we reduced the scale of it by changing it from a full 2-story house with an attic to a 1.5-story house, where now all of the second floor is pretty much within dormered space, similar to what the house that had been there was like. And we reversed we rotated the ridge so that the roof comes down in over a covered porch, similar to what had been before.
What is the date of the plans that we're discussing here?
12:30.
Okay, good. Thank you. No, it just,
No, I know, I understand.
And this came in
I don't want to look at the wrong thing.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
The plans came in
so
first,
these are the
and
2 new
then
things, is that correct?
correct, and then the rendering came in
Great.
last week. And we're planning to use wood shingles. All the trim would be painted white, white windows, cedar shingle roof, and siding.
Do you have full side-by-side elevations yet that you can share with the public for us? Yeah, just go through page by page of the exterior elevations.
This is the
so
front
the public can
elevation,
look.
which is also the rendering. This would. Right. This is the south elevation. This is the back or the west elevation. It also has a covered porch with a bay window above it. And then this is the north elevation.
Board members?
Front is a huge improvement, and it looks like what belongs on Halsey Street. So thank you for listening. The house does seem to still be very large and long, but the front is,
Again, it's a very long lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
there's,
understand.
you know, there's not, I can do about that.
Can you again could take us completely through the colors and materials, please?
Yes, it's all cedar shingle. So, you know, the rendering. The roof would all be cedar shingle. These little half walls on the covered porch, or in the front covered porch, would be cedar shingle as well. White columns, some white trim work, and some brackets in the gables. The trim over here is all white and just a standard white color. Windows white as well.
Okay. Board members, other questions, other comments?
I would just be concerned about the back of the house, the ratio of glass.
There is a lot of glass in the back, but again, it's behind a covered porch. I mean, it steps back. You can see in this plan, the majority of that glass is, this is the, sorry, I'm doing this backwards. All the glass in the living room is 14 feet back from the plane.
It would still be a light pollution issue, even if it's recessed like that. What is the ratio for that back there, of the glass to the wall?
It's hard to, I mean, it's the majority is glass, but again, it's behind a covered porch.
That's the front.
Do you have comments?
It's the front elevation.
Is that the back? I think with all the glass, sorry, with the dormer with 4 large windows, and then the door, are these doors on the ground floor? The back.
French doors, yeah.
That's first of all, I think it looks awkward personally, but I just think there's too much, you know, one or the other needs to be, I could live with the doors, but then the dormers would have to be reduced.
The dormers are 14 feet forward of those glass doors. The glass doors are
But it still
underneath the
reads
dormers.
as a lot of glass, no matter what you say. That it's
But
still.
it's the
if
back
you-
of the house. I mean,
I think what you're hearing is that there is concern about the amount. I think you're hearing. Here's what let me sum up a little bit for you. First of all, thank you. I think what you've come in with now really did address a lot of what the board's concerns were. It's from the street, especially. It's much more harmonious to the neighborhood instead of being a big, massive square box to the street. It now is harmonious, and it actually pays a little bit, slightest bit amount of homage to what was there before, which is totally appreciated. When you look at the amount of glazing that you have going down the south elevation and the north elevation, your window to wall ratio there is great, in my opinion. I think the only place you're hearing concern from the board is when we look at the back of the house, when you've got all the French windows. And I realize they're recessed is one thing, but the scale of the windows on the dormer on the second floor seems excessive, is what you're hearing. And it also, so I think that's the one issue that you're hearing compared to where we were. I think we're down to one issue. So I think if that would be the feedback that you're getting.
So the dormer on the front of the house and the dormer on the very back of the house, which we're discussing, are they the same?
No, the windows on the
dormer
dormer.
the back of the house
Has
has a
more
window
windows.
box on it.
What?
Has a window box below it,
Yeah.
But it's exactly the same as the one on
and
the front?
it's
No, the window sizes
the
are
windows-
the window sizes are
bigger,
taller.
right?
it's a little bit taller.
Yeah, they're-
because it's on the back of the house.
I think it's less appealing too, I hate to say it, but
I
I
think
like
a rendering of the back of the house might really help us, because right now we're just looking at,
the front house,
The
the
front
front
look-
looks nice.
yeah, the front looks
But to me, the
gorgeous.
back just is a complete departure almost, because of,
I think that I can certainly do a rendering of the back of the house, but I think that what it will show you is that you will barely see the windows in the living room because they're set so far back, and the dormer, which is in the primary bedroom, the main dormer in the back, is far forward. So the two, although they're stacked on top of each other, I think that you'll perceive the dormer sitting over a void rather than a wall of windows.
well, at night when all the lights are on, would you think that that would be true?
I
You
think
wouldn't.
I still do. Yes, I do.
Okay, well,
Well, okay.
I
So
disagree.
here's we're down to one issue. I think you've heard the board's comments. You are free to render it and take a look at it. But I would sort of agree that if the actual scale and the size of the windows in the rear match the scale and the size of the windows in the front, you'd probably be getting approval. Because I think
Well-
3 different people looked at it and 3 different people have sort of the same concerns. So that seems to be consensus.
Well, I don't know if my client's here tonight, but if we were to just change that dormer right now to be the same dormer as the one on the front, would we be able to get approved tonight?
I think we'd want to see it. Yeah, I'm going to want to see it in drawing and in elevation.
And we want to see outdoor light fixtures.
I'm assuming you have no exterior light fixtures on here. Well, you do in the front. Are there any
ones
exterior
that
fixtures in the
are not
back?
behind columns are shown, and there are some that will be in the ceiling.
Okay, so you have downlights in the ceiling and you have surface mounted on the behind those columns.
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe think about reducing some of that glass in the back.
You'll take a look at if you're scaling down the windows above. You can take a look at the ratio of those two, and you might find scaling down below slightly might be helpful to you. I think from where we started to where we are with one issue remaining is pretty good.
Thank you.
Comments from the public?
While we wait for that, could I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Could you clarify the existing accessory structure that's there? That's labeled as going to be a pool house, so that's not living space.
Correct.
Okay, I think on one of the sheets it's labeled as a studio. Maybe if it could just be made consistent, so it's labeled as.
I thought I had changed because I remember you.
Yeah, I think on one place it's a studio, somewhere else it says pool house, because the plans will get stamped no living space there. So I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So do you think you can be ready by the next meeting?
I'm sorry.
Can you be ready by February the 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
So that has to be in then by the.
Noon on the 6th.
Okay. So you're requesting an adjournment?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment till February the 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Somebody can bring Jeff back in, that would be appreciated. Okay. Next up is 64 Pulaski Street for demolition of existing garage and pool house and construction of attached garage.
Good evening, board members. This is John Bennett and Reed. Sal Ciccarelli is here with me. He's the project architect. Sal will go over the graphics with you, but I just wanted to make sure that the board had the following. We delivered on January 16 full size and reduced sets of the revised architectural plans dated January 10, and then full size and reduced copies of the site plan. So Sal will tell you this. What we've done is try to make it so that the garage is not proud of the house, and Sal will tell you how we did that. And we also significantly, and at significant cost, because there's an estimated cost of construction just for changing and moving the garage and changing the plantings in the front, have moved the garage, the driveway to the, I guess that's the west side of the house, and then put significant plantings in front of the proposed driveway, and you'll see how we achieve that. We did have some correspondence from Gary Lawrence, architect, in support of the application, detailing his analysis as to why he thinks this is consistent with the neighborhood and should be approved. Gary, as you know, is one of the co-authors with Ann Searchin of Houses of the Hamptons. We do have a garage door to elevation width ratio study prepared by Sal. We do have letters of support from Motion Zakor, 70 Pulaski Street, Jeffrey Hull, that's probably 44 Pulaski, Kathleen Seltzer, and Brian Lighthoot. Brian is right across the street, and all in support. We did have a study about accessibility of attached garages on Pulaski Street, including supporting property surveys obtained from the Village of Southampton. And we did have an estimated cost of construction to show how we intend to change the garage, the driveway into the garage from to the east side. And we'll give you the cost of construction to show you how dedicated the client is trying to come to some sort of resolution here. So that's where we are. And Sal, if you want to take the board through the graphics, that would be great.
Sure. So our major move this time is to move our curb cut to the opposite end of the property.
Yeah, you're going to have to speak into the microphone for me.
Our main move this time.
Susan, what did you mean?
Alice, do we want to know about curb cuts?
Well,
the
the visual, it changes the visual.
it's for the visual impact on the house, so that you're approaching the house and the house is more present to the street than a garage door. We're making the garage door more hidden. It's more within landscaping. And then another concern was our front door being kind of turned into so much of a recess because of the garage, but we've brought forward basically a screen door so that you enter into a screen porch first, and that entry feels more part of the front of the facade. And again, to also show that our garage is not protruding any further than the existing houses, you can see on our main elevations that our fascia boards all line up straight across the front of the house. And that's really where we are.
We did have the supporting documentation in terms of the neighborhood study and garage ratio with the garage doors to the house. Letter of support from Gary Lawrence, letters of support from four of the neighbors. Letters of support from four of the neighbors, I think most helpfully from Brian, who lives across the street. And these demonstrate the effect of the lack of effect on any impact to the neighborhood. The board was concerned about the visual, about the garage was proud of the house. We've fixed that. We've also demonstrated, we're more than happy to make this a condition. We wouldn't offer it unless we were offering as a condition also to have significant screening in front of the house so that the garage doors would not be generally visible from the street, and thus we're also reorienting the entranceway. My client would like an attached garage. The village code allows for attached garage. Indeed, the village code has very specific FAR restrictions and calculations based upon attached garage. It's a permitted use in the village of Southampton. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry. That might be. And also during inclement weather and just generally the ability, my client would like the ability doesn't want to have to walk the 66 to 70 feet from the to the garage. We don't think it's a large ask. We understand some of the visual concerns that the board had, but we've done everything that we can do to mitigate that in terms of not only the ratio of the size of the garage doors, but also the fact that the board was concerned about the the garage being somewhat proud of the house. So we're here and hoping that we've been able to have the board take a fresher look at this. It's not an unreasonable request to have an attached garage.
Board members.
It certainly improved.
my-
It certainly improved. Sorry, Jeff. It certainly improved compared to when the garage was front and center. So I will give you that. I'm curious what landscaping plan you have for the front.
Well, we have what we have, and however you want us to augment that, we will do that. But there's some, we're switching around some. Is somebody else weighing in? Or maybe I'm just having an hallucination.
Yeah,
No,
why don't
there's
you
a
pull-
lot of talking going on in the audience. It's distracting.
I'm
Would
sorry.
you pull the mic closer to you?
Okay, sorry. You know, we're moving some crepe myrtle. We're adding some mature crepe myrtle, and but any augmented landscaping that you would want. If that's not enough for you, Jane, we'll put some more there.
Okay, no.
No.
Just
I'm just
wanted
trying to be offering whatever.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
okay.
give you raise your comfort level.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, my view is the same as it was the last hearing, and as I demonstrated in the last hearing, there are anywhere from 4 to 6 houses on either side, to the east, to the west, across the street, none of which have street-facing garages. This would be a step backward, and contrary to the applicant's statement that it would not impact the neighborhood, I say it will impact the neighborhood, and it will impact it negatively. You know, we have the issue of not demolishing, the question of demolishing houses outside the historic district. Well, here's a house outside the historic district that has historic elements that are consistent with the era in which those houses were built. And they were not built with front street-facing garages. They were built with separate attached, generally in the rear garages. And I would like to see the property maintained in order to maintain its historic relevance. Although it's granted, it's not in the historic district, but it does represent a style. And putting in a street-facing garage would be contrary to that style and contrary to the consistency of the surrounding houses. So it's disharmonious in my judgment, and it has a negative impact. So I would not approve it. I would also say that if we have to accept applications that are subject to screening, that runs counter to trying to create structures that we want to see. It's bad enough this community has become essentially a hedged community, even on the village streets. You know, that in my view, by definition, says that well, maybe not by definition, but we should be building things that we want to screen. And we should be consistent with the historic and elements within the village, whether they're in the historic district or not. And we should do that which is harmonious to the neighborhood, and this is not.
It's not a historic house. It's not an
That's
historic
what I
district.
said,
It was built in
John.
2000.
John, I said all the things I said. I did qualify them accordingly.
Susan.
So I think actually that you've actually made it look proper, as I would say. However, the question is about a front. I'm completely against front-facing garages, and I know that you somewhat. I guess Jeff went through and looked at the front-facing garages on the street. Is that right?
Well, we posted them at the last meeting.
Yeah. There was no. It was hard to see. I was.
Right.
So it's a problem for me. So I don't really have much more to say unless I can find how to see that.
Yeah, if I may, I think you're veering into some site plan authority, which is certainly not outside the historic district.
I don't think we're.
I'm not talking
What
about
I'm hearing is
historic.
what I'm hearing is issues of from a general perspective, the village does, we don't like front-facing garages to the street. And that's just a
Why does it
general.
say that?
Because one of the things that we're charged with is, do we feel that they're architecturally harmonious to the neighborhood? There are some examples of ones that built in the past, but that does not mean that we have to repeat the mistakes of the past. And I think what you're hearing from at least two of the board members is there's serious concern about this garage and the garage facing the front of the street. And the truth of the matter in this house is it's not like they don't have a garage. They do have a garage. They're choosing to do something else with that site plan for it. But we're not saying they can't have a garage because they have a garage. What we're saying is, well, I think what I'm hearing is we have board members that feel that taking off what was a friendly part of the house, which was a porch where people could sit and talk to the neighbors, and put a garage in there and block it off, is not harmonious to the neighborhood and not in harmony with what we're looking for in the village of Southampton, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, I don't see anything in your design powers which allow you to disallow an attached garage as opposed to a attached garage. And I think what you're trying to do now is to graft on historic elements to a house that was built in 2000.
Well, I don't think all of us are doing that, John.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough, Susan. Fair enough.
I
Yeah.
do think that you should recognize the point, at least from my perspective, that there is a garage. That I think is the bad news.
Yeah, I
Frankly,
think you're
logically.
in effect what you're doing is trying to exercise a power that you don't have, which is site plan review. I also don't think anything in the guidelines specifically which prohibits, as a matter of fact, an attached garage is a permitted use. You can tell me what the attached garage has to look like, but you can't tell me that I can't have one, and you can't say that I can't put one in a house because I have an existing garage. One of the things I'm also trying to do is reduce the lot coverage.
But what we can tell you is that if you have a garage where the front door faces the street versus facing the side of the lot where it doesn't face the street, which is what we prefer, we actually do have purview over that.
Well, I don't think
because
so,
that's into
because
design
you
of
have
the
a narrow lot
house.
here and I can't make the turn. So you also have to take into consideration the fact, the constraints of the lot. I don't understand this. This woman is a tax-paying good citizen who wants to have the benefit of having an attached garage. I don't understand why you're thwarting her. We've gone to great lengths to try to buffer it. And in terms of comments about it not being consistent with the neighborhood, the neighbors don't seem to think there's a problem with it. And I don't think that's not an easy thing to do, to get neighbors to give you letters of support. And there are, I've in a couple of cases, I'll give council the cases, but and I've only had to give them to the Zoning Board of Appeals. But in two separate cases, one including both of which I litigated, once against this Zoning Board of Appeals, and once that went all the way up to the Appellate Division and the Shelter Island Zoning Board of Appeals. The courts both made a finding that neighborhood support is indicia of no impact on the neighborhood. So people say, oh, you got letters of support from the neighbor. Well, those are tax-paying neighbors in that neighborhood, and you have to take what they say into account. You can't just brush them aside. And that's why we went to such great efforts to get those letters. So what I'd like you to do, if you would, is just mull the stuff over that I've said. I'm going to ask you to adjourn it. Take a drive around the
Maybe we
driveway.
should hear public
I was
comment.
going to say we
of
have.
course after that.
Yes,
of
we're
course.
going to take public comment on this. Yes. Okay. Is there any comments from the public?
Okay, then now we can mull.
No, we can most. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to motion that we accept the applicant's request for an adjournment to February 12th. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Thanks,
And we'll
Melanie.
mull.
All right. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you.
Next up is 40 John Street for demolition of existing cottage and rebuild cottage. Alex, can you bring me up to speed where we have gotten since the last time we were here? Last I knew, this had a zoning issue associated with it. Has that gone away?
No, I believe the applicant will be proceeding to the zoning board related to the use, and I think the applicant is here with requests for the board with respect to historic landmark status, which is within the purview of this board. And I think there's some design elements that will probably be consistent regardless of what the zoning board decides that I think they'd like to discuss with you tonight.
Do we have a report?
Yeah.
We do have, oh, and that's right, thank you. We do have a demolition evaluation from
May
that.
I see it?
Yes.
Thanks, Lisa.
I got you.
Thank you. I may have looked. Oh, this is clear, thanks.
In the written decision folder, there should be a form that we filled out to record the board's vote, should they vote. There it is, thank you.
With that,
Got it.
pulling the microphone closer to you so we can all
I
hear you.
moved it away.
No, pull it closer so the public can hear you. Would you introduce yourself and take us through your application?
Lisa Zaloga. I am the architect for 40 John Street. Have you all seen Zach's report?
Yes.
I have.
Okay,
yes.
okay, great.
Can we vote on that
But
before
is
we
it-
get into the nitty gritty of other things?
You have to accept it?
Well, we do need to do a vote on the demolition evaluation. Same as we did earlier in the evening.
Where is, based on this,
Indeed.
but is there an application for demo?
Yes, of the, was it a barn?
It's a
the
cottage.
Cottage.
It's a cottage.
And where is that? In this packet here? I don't see that. It's okay with me. I'm not handling the documents, so I could skip that. All right, I don't have it. Oh, yeah, demolish pre-existing, okay. That didn't help.
Okay. So the first question comes up is for the structures that are there, would we landmark it?
No.
Okay. Jeff, any comment?
I haven't seen Zach's report, but an accessory building of that nature and that disrepair, I don't think it's one to pursue.
So Zach's recommendations are this small wood-framed accessory structure possesses no architectural or historical significance and lacks any association or characteristics that would merit landmark consideration.
Well, that's
Which is kind of what you said.
It's a little sad for the cottage.
It's
Yeah.
a sad thing. But anyway, so it's.
This cottage did have a bad water moment. I know that.
It also was flooded evidently once.
Yeah, badly.
So I don't
All
even
right.
know if they could.
So we demo this, I'm just hypothetically asking.
Then what?
Well, then,
Right,
then
then
the
Then
question
they
is,
have to go to the zoning
then
board
they've
of
got the-
appeals.
Then what? Will they lose their privilege to have that as a living space?
Well, they may
No.
or may not demolish it. This is just allowing the demolition.
all we're
Okay,
saying is
so-
whether
so-
we are, my whole, well, so we're all
Okay,
clear
okay.
here. Our whole vote here is whether or not we intend to pursue landmarking. If we do not pursue landmarking, then the building department has the right to issue a demolition permit.
Correct.
Indeed.
Okay? So I'm going to motion that we not pursue landmarking for 40 John Street.
I'll
Is-
second.
Is there a second? Great, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So that's, we're not going to pursue landmarking on it.
Correct.
Now where are we going?
Well,
Because
so-
last time we weren't sure if you were keeping it there because you've got a non-conforming use issue. And then whether, and that's in front of, is that the zoning issue that's still prevalent?
So yeah, so it's been determined that I should that I should go to the zoning board of appeals to relocate the pre-existing non-conforming use of the cottage to a conforming location. It's currently in a non-conforming location, being that it's just shy of 5 feet off the property line. And so it's been determined that I should go to the zoning board of appeals for that. So I would understand that you cannot completely vote on approving the structure at this time. My feeling at the beginning of the process was that the building that I'm proposing could very well be a pool house. It meets all the criteria for a pool house. And if I were not able to relocate the cottage, would you like to see what I designed as a pool house? But if you're not capable of doing that at this time, then we will come back to you after we hit the zoning board of appeals with your non-landmarking of the building
Okay.
and hopefully have the approval for the cottage.
Okay. So here's what I think. Well, here's what it feels like. When you go to the zoning board and where you move and where you build that will determine what its use is and what its use can be, and that
Correct.
may alter. So right now, what we'd be talking about, what we don't theoretically can't necessarily be built at this moment until you understand zoning, correct?
Well, I could build it in that conforming location as a pool house, so I guess the question is, are you approving the look of the building or are you approving the use of what's inside it? And my understanding would be that you would be approving the look of the building, whether it was a pool house or a cottage. So it wouldn't really matter.
What I'm
But
going
the
to ask them.
location would be relevant.
the locations.
And the
wrong.
location
Yeah.
would remain the same for the
I'm
whole
gonna,
house or
but
the
here, but
cottage.
if you, listen, if you go to the zone, because I know this house. So there were actually, I don't know, there were actually 2 COs on it, but there were COs available for both structures.
Correct.
So if you move it over there and you decide to put a kitchen in, it's going to change that structure because you can put windows in that kitchen. Maybe you'll make different decisions. So what I'm going to suggest you do now is go to zoning, get your decision from zoning, and then come back with exactly what it is you want to build, based on the zoning decision, all the things that the client wants, and we'll go out to this in one fell swoop.
That's fine. I would like to leave it open for that since my application.
That's fine.
is
Well,
still...
we can adjourn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can adjourn it pending
Yeah.
ZBA decision, then come back from there, right?
That's my goal.
To a specific date, perhaps pending the zoning board, so that people can
Right.
follow this on
Then
the
what-
agenda.
Then
You have a date?
what's
or
the
you do
last
not?
date in March?
The second meeting in March would be the 25th.
Okay, so I would suggest we adjourn this till,
Perfect.
and if you, because I think you'll be that long.
That's
Okay,
fine.
so I motion to accept the client's request to adjourn till March 25th.
Yeah.
The application for 40 John Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Okay. That takes us down to, we have 2 adjournments. Okay, that now takes us to a new matter for 166 Hall Street. Do you have affidavits and are they in order? Well, actually, we
did that last time.
We did it last time, yes. But it's a new,
And I
so
will
it's not.
be
It's,
recusing myself on this.
Thanks for letting us know.
Thanks.
how did you ever work out that you got 2 in a row?
It just worked out that way.
Okay. I wouldn't even ask you to reintroduce yourself. But you have to for the record.
Lisa Zaloga, the architect for 166 Halsey Street.
Okay.
Are you all ready?
Yes.
So this is an application, very, very extremely minor application for a modification to an existing bay window that is on a 1-story house set on a flag lot off of Halsey Street. There currently exists, I can show you pictures. There currently exists a bay window in a kitchen area it's on the south side of the house, which is kind of sideways to Halsey Street, but again, the flag lot is,
Can you put it so the tape can pick it up, please? So.
Yeah, can you put that on the
Yeah,
cameras
can you-
for us,
I had to watch,
Sage?
and if you can't see the plan or the renderings, it makes it very difficult. I'm not here.
the last phase of my elevation has
There we
the
go.
existing, A4 has the existing elevation on the top, which is a small bay window with a picture window and a door to the left. And our goal is to just enlarge the bay window with a pair of doors in the middle and keep 2 small windows on the side.
So basically, you're removing a bay window and you want to put in a door and 2 side lights.
Correct. And it's all under the existing roof overhang. There's no change to anything.
Materials, window color, all of that.
All matches existing, which if you were at the house or saw the house, white, again, the roof doesn't change. It's all white trimmed, built,
Okay. Board members.
I'm fine with it.
Me too.
I'm
How
fine
much
with
easier
it.
could
I think
be?
it
Are there
looks better.
they're taking yeah.
There's 12
It's
neighbors
it's a
here,
minor
none
change and it's great.
opposed.
Yeah. off the back.
Any comments from the public?
Lights are downward facing.
Lights are downward facing.
No surface mounts that I saw on the plan. Okay. Motion to accept the application for 166 Halsey Street for exterior alteration to existing bay window. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Next up is an application for Silver Bunny, love that, LLC at 150 Breeze Lane for additions and exterior alterations. Do you have affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Great.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. Brian Glasser, architect, representing my client, Silver Bunny LLC, and my clients, Mr. and Ms. Silverman are here if you have any questions to bring them in. Just getting started. So this is an existing house that we're doing a renovation to, which is mainly to the southeast side of the property and to the west. The property is currently it's on the east side of, so it's located on the east side of Breeze Lane, roughly 400 feet south of White Street. It's just under a half acre, so that just kind of gives you an idea of the scale of the property. The current home, max building height, basic volume of the house is pretty much staying the same. The major, or the additions really are, like I said, to the south and to the east, with we did put a garage towards the west side of the property. Going into the materials, so the current house, it currently here shows an asphalt roof, brick chimneys, painted white trim, and painted cedar siding. What we're proposing is we're going to be replacing the entire roof with a Alaskan yellow tapered sawn cedar roof. The brick chimneys to remain. We also have the trim is going to be a PVC trim painted white to match similar. You can see here on the renderings on the top. And we chose throughout the process to, originally we were just doing the addition, and then we chose to replace all the windows, which we were going to go with a Marvin Ultimate product, which is an aluminum clad, which would be white finish. The siding, we currently have this painted gray cedar siding, which we're going to be going to more of a natural look with like a bleaching oil, so it'd be a white cedar with a bleaching oil. And what else do we have here? We are replacing the current sconces with a dark sky compliant sconce, which I provided specs for. We're also proposing to do a pool house in the rear, which is roughly around 300 square feet with a pergola system and a new pool. You know, I try to keep the dormers in the front consistent with the existing rhythm that's here, and in the back, the dormer that kind of ran across the back, I just kind of continued that and extended.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Mm-hmm.
On the site plan,
Yeah.
So what faces Breeze Lane is a one-car garage?
Yeah.
And then the body of the house?
Yeah, I know. So we actually had an option to have the garage facing towards from the south, so you wouldn't see it.
The front of the house facing the street. Let's start.
Let him finish. Go ahead.
Oh. So originally, if you look at the best way to look at it is at in the floor plan. There's currently when the house originally built, there was a den that was converted from a garage to a den that the homeowners were looking to keep. So. And with the setback restrictions, I couldn't fit. If you look at the setbacks for the southern side, we can't put a garage, and we would have to go into the existing den and damage the existing structure.
So there is not a garage there now?
There's currently not a garage. There was a garage. It was originally built, and someone converted it.
Yeah, I went down to look today, and then it looked like the garage was there,
converted.
but it's not a garage.
Yeah, it's if you look on the if you want to.
Okay, no, I just.
Yeah, so currently they don't have a garage, and it was a garage that was converted to a mud room, and it's a nice den. And if you look at the current layout, we ended up adding a screened-in porch to the back and a mud room, which makes sense.
So there are garage doors on that old garage. Is that right?
There was old garage doors, correct, on the south. Yeah, but like I said, if you look, say page 006. You'll see a family room. That's pretty much, or if you go to the demolition plan, you'll see there used to be a garage there.
Okay.
Which we can't.
Okay.
It's finished space now.
So can we just go back to my question?
Yeah.
So what initially you see from the street is the garage?
You're gonna see it, yeah.
Okay, and then the house is lengthwise on behind that?
Yeah.
That doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is, and I knew this was going to be a hot topic.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's
So you were you listening to a previous application?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew about it too previous to that, but most of my houses we do end up putting it to the side loaded. But on this particular street and neighboring streets, I found 8 different homes that do have
Yes,
garages in the front.
We can find mistakes everywhere, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we're also kind of locked in here to actually put a garage on this property is impossible.
You're locked in on a half-acre lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with the existing
And the pool hasn't been built, and the pool house hasn't been built, but you're locked in on your half-acre lot.
No. If you look here on the side yard setback, I can't get a garage in.
Yes, you can. But anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe looking at the site plan.
Well,
to
let's.
see, like, how tight it is.
Why don't we?
I interrupted, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I have, from personal experience, know the exact swing distance you need to get big cars into garages. Let's do this. Why don't we have hear comments from the full board, and then we'll see where we stand. Who wants to go first?
I already went.
Okay.
I'll just say that the fenestration and the facade looks so much better in the new rendering than what's there now. Yes, I think it's an issue having the garage facing the street, but I think the house itself looks better.
But that house doesn't show to the street. Look at the site plan. It's fine as long as,
Right, well, then
is that correct?
I'm not sure, but
Is this
this is the street. I don't know. Right here's.
the street in front of the house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right here's the street, and this is the house. This is obviously that's the garage, but this is the front of the house. So this is like the existing front house. This is the walkway, which is right here. And then
The garage faces the street.
The garage is the first thing.
Yeah, it does.
It's the forward of the house, right? Can we just do this? Yes. Okay.
The biggest, like I said,
I hear you.
the renovation, the existing.
What,
if you saw the
all right, I
No,
need you to
but-
put that down and go back to the microphone
biggest,
before Sage in the back
Yeah.
gives me another hand signal here that no one can hear you.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that we're dealing with an existing footprint, an existing room here to get a garage to enter in, unless I think what you're alluding to is to put a detached structure.
I'm not alluding to. I'm not. Well, let's get out the comments. Jane.
Well,
And then we
I
get
just
Jeff.
want to say, the house does face the street and it looks much better. But yes, the garage is now in the front, so that is a little bit of an issue for us. So I don't know how we're going to rectify this.
Jeff.
Largely repeating that which has been said, Brian, you've done a good job of improving the house, including the changing of the materials on the roof and the siding, and all looks good. And at the same time, when I look at slide 35 and 37, which is the rendering, the thing that sticks out, because it sticks out, is the garage. And it takes away from an otherwise good design, in my view, in my judgment. And in my judgment, in terms of the neighborhood, which I walk every day when I walk my dog, the garage in front connotes suburbia and takes away from the look. And to Mark's point, yes, you can go up and down that street and find one or two or maybe even a few more front-facing garages. But our role is not to add to whether there be prior mistakes or not. So I think reconsidering the location of the garage and how it faces, and whether it's detached or whether it's on the side, are things worthy of looking at.
And I'll give you my comments. First of all, you're hearing from everyone that, especially a single front. I mean, the thing that I find architecturally odd about it is the scale of the one-car garage against the massive width of the house. It almost makes the garage look mingy. But also, when the garage faces the street, that was something not really liking. The overall work of the house, the color of the house, the improvement of the house is great. I think your one issue here is the garage. So I think we're not saying it has to be detached. We're just saying of the options you've chosen thus far, the garage is the issue that you're not going to get approval on. Are there questions from the public? I can tell you it takes 29 feet 8 inches to swing into a garage, before including the apron.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, no, I mean, like commercial parking, I know it's like 24 feet, so I'm familiar with like getting it in. The one, like I mentioned, the one concern was just there's a current room here.
Yeah.
So to get a garage.
Well, you're renovating a house.
Looks like a foundation. I don't know.
I'm not telling you what the solution is. I'm telling you what the issue is.
Yeah.
You're a good guy.
Yeah.
You're hearing what we're saying here. It's we're not going to build your house. We're just telling you that that's what the issue is about the house that's keeping from being approved. Comments from the public?
I have a question about the pool house.
Yep.
How high is it?
Name.
I'm sorry. Introduce yourself, please.
Oh, sure. Ann Bishant, and I'm right behind on Cooper's Farm Road, 144.
Okay.
You're roughly. Let me see if it's. I don't have any. I know we're under the 16-foot limit. Let me see if I have it over here. Like 15 foot 10. Yeah.
Oh, 15. And are you changing the landscaping on that back the east side of the property?
That's going to remain. There's a large row of trees there, grown tree, current.
There's, I think there's a couple of crepe myrtles, and I'm just asking if you could screen it, a little better. Not with anything too high, but just to screen it so we don't see another pool house.
Mm-hmm. And you're located to the east. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, sort of either taking off from that, and I will admit that I did not focus on the pool house, but from experience, question, is the equipment going to be internal or external?
Internal, yeah, we have a basement.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Is there going to be any outdoor use space? Is it a pergola? Is it open space? Is it a fireplace there?
Yeah, Jeff. So in this rendering here, we had an open pergola, a natural wood open pergola system in front of it.
Look, if you look at page 11 of your plans, it'll sort of detail it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to hold up the process since Brian is coming back, but I'll look at that. And okay. But again, I don't want to hold up the process for tonight.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? So I think you've heard the concern of the board. When do you think you can come back and be ready to with updated plans?
I'm probably trying to do it in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's February 12th, and the due date is the 6th. Is that right, Alex? Materials due?
For the next meeting,
yep,
on the 12th, the due date is the 6th at noon to the building department.
Okay. Motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment to February 12th for 150 Breeze Lane. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Southampton Shopping Center LLC, 111 Main Street for exterior alterations to existing commercial building.
I think there's a couple others that are in the lobby that are waiting. Bill
Okay.
Ryan and George from Wells Fargo as well.
Okay. Do I have people?
So this is, we were just, do you want me to state my name again?
Yes, please.
Kevin Ream, R-E-I-M as in Mary.
Okay.
We have affidavits, and they're in order.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. Okay.
This is the Wells Fargo we were just doing the signage on.
Yep.
Really overlooking to do here on the east elevation, which is the same side as CVS, is to add 2 sets of glass on the right and left side to get more storefront and more light in there. That's really about it on that side, and that's it for exterior wise.
Did I see a plan that had a roof? You wanted to extend the roof line out front? On the side? Because on one
There was a plan for a roof. It just called out the area of the new storefront.
But are you? Is that you're asking for that, or you're not? Or all you're asking for is the windows?
Yeah. Hi, my name's William Ryan, RYAN, architect of record.
Yep.
They were planning a canopy over that east side entrance.
Okay.
And
And are you still planning that? Are you still requesting that canopy, or has that gone away?
Yes.
well,
Okay. Well, does somebody want to put the plans up and show it so the public can see what we're talking about?
Do you have the plans, Kevin, or do you want me?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, unless you want to share them, Bill.
Okay, let me share.
I'm confused. Are you asking for the extra windows on the behalf of Wells Fargo and asking for the canopy on the end on behalf of the landlord? Is that what's going on here?
On behalf of Wells Fargo.
Oh, okay.
You see?
Does Wells Fargo own this building?
No.
Okay.
You see?
Alice, I'm asking you a question. Is it weird that is it odd that a tenant is looking to a permanent exterior change to a structure, not the landlord? Is that okay? All right. Okay.
The landlord's provided us permission to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can you see my screen?
no.
Not yet. One second, please.
It's just a blue screen, Bill.
Okay. Screen 3. Okay, Kevin, can you put it up?
Yeah, I could. If you could switch, I could share. I have them up.
Log back in.
No, yeah, they're up. They're up. We can see them.
Okay. So, all right. You see the existing and proposed?
Yep.
Okay. Basically, we're taking what's existing and we're repeating it on the left and right side of the east side of the building, keeping the materials and finishes the same as the center part to expose on the right side, which would have visual into the ATM space, and on the opposite side, an office building.
You just told us that, I'm sorry, but at the beginning of this meeting, you told us there wasn't an ATM. Is there an ATM in this bank?
Internal ATM.
Okay.
And yeah, and then we'll go up to the plan. Yeah, you can see the plan.
Can I just be honest with you and tell you, from what I'm seeing, it's kind of a mess? Your East View new proposed storefront does not show, or is it on here? This canopy you're proposing?
Yeah,
on there, it's hard to see.
It's hard to see. We have
Well, where is it on your rendering?
can see. Maybe we see that a little bit.
Okay, you see it, we have two cables and it's,
I'm sorry, I see new proposed storefront with a lot of detail about the signage and showing windows and existing lights to remain.
let's go to the side elevation. New entrance cavity with built-in lighting. Yeah, it's aligning with the existing steel.
So
It's a mess.
this is what I thought we were doing.
No, that's existing.
But they're making it, yes, but they're increasing. There's no canopy. And personally, the existing lights, which are way too bright, now that we're dealing with this facade, I would like change. How about that?
Well, let's address.
They were for an ATM, I swear to God.
Okay,
No
let's
longer. Good night.
let's. Okay. Wow.
So maybe they need to come back and show us the real deal. I can't find the canopy.
Here's the weird part. Okay,
What page are you on?
I'm on.
In here.
I don't know because they haven't numbered the pages. Here, A200. A200 shows a side view of where there's a canopy that you're asking for, but when you're showing me in plan on page 201,
There's no canopy.
are you pushing the whole thing out?
In the elevation.
And there's a light bar too, not to mention.
Okay, so the problem with the sheet 201 is just a little hard to see because if we're trying to have it blend into the existing seal above that door.
Right.
So if you were to zoom in, you'd be able to see it. So on sheet 200, you can see it a little easier on the side view with it protruding out. And then as for the light bar that we're showing, that was all just pertaining to the earlier signage review. So whatever they choose to change, will change our elevations as well.
But there are also these very bright lights that are on.
Yeah, those are existing already on the building, so if they're really not needed for security or parking reasons, I don't see why we couldn't remove them and leave the.
They were installed because there was an ATM there, and that was by law. So I find them to be strident and unnecessary.
There are state
I
requirements
think they also,
for brightness.
they are also,
What? They're also what?
they're also eliminating the sidewalk area.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's not your job.
Did you provide a rendering of this from the elevation, including CVS?
No.
No, yeah, we can.
All right,
Here's
I think what you're hearing is what we're looking at is not clear. You haven't shown us a rendering of what looks like attached. I will tell you my personal opinion is the idea of putting a canopy out over it sort of starts to make, if we're not careful, starts to look like a covered strip mall. Because right now you experience both these buildings as separate structures, and if we start attaching them one to the other, I'm not sure how that's really going to look. But your materials are kind of unclear page to page, and I don't know that the board actually, or the public, has a clear view of what it is that you're asking.
And also, because we already did approve the sign, I feel like the sign changes now, because if you're putting a front facade on this building,
putting a canopy.
That's gonna change the way the sign.
It's going to change the way you experience the
Why
sign.
don't you come with a complete plan that we can actually
And it seems
see?
like an
Yeah.
awful lot of windows.
Well, it's
gonna be, those two sides are gonna be totally filled in with windows.
like the other side.
And so if it's a bank and it's lit up all night long,
Well, that's the question.
Is it a 24-hour access ATM through the door at night?
Yes.
Well, then it
Well,
is
then
an
we-
ATM. Come on. We
I
shouldn't
hate
have
to be mean here, but
We
a lot
should
of,
not have to
frankly, a lot of
guess.
what you told us at the signed application
Please
is.
come back.
I'm going to ask you to adjourn this. I would like to see a rendering of the elevation as it attaches to to CVS, and I'd like to see the rendering with the signage you're proposing. We need to understand what you're looking for because while it's on one page, it doesn't appear on the other.
Understood. And just to clarify this ATM, yes, there is an ATM, but it's not outside, so you're not required to meet those same lighting codes
Okay,
as
good.
if you were
Okay.
if it was inside. That's
But
what
it's
we're
a,
trying
but
to
it's
get
but
at.
but
There is
but
an ATM here, yes.
yes, but it's 24-hour access ATM, but it's an interior ATM.
Correct.
Okay.
We still do need to take public
Yeah,
comment.
we're going to do it. All right. Are there any public comments? All right. Then do you guys think you can be ready with more materials by February the 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll have the signage, we'll have everything updated, the signage and
Okay.
this elevation as well.
Can we combine the applications, signage and?
Actually, I wish you would, because one actually impacts the other.
Yes.
Right.
The size of the lettering is seems fine, but like we need, if there's now going to be, in your sign application did not take into consideration what you're asking us now. So bring it all together, and I think that's the best way for us to look at it. All right, so motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment for 111 Main Street to February 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
What a mess. All right. Okay, so that moves us into driveway gates. The first one is 44 Lewis Street. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Is the applicant here? Okay.
Should we second call?
I'll second call that because I'm surprised they're not. Oh, okay.
Feels later to me.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
State your name for the record, please.
Chris Millman, landscape designer for Landscape Details, representing 44 Lewis Street.
Okay. Can you present your plan?
Sure.
Thank you.
Screen share. You guys see it?
Nope.
Not yet. One sec.
Let's see. Can you see it?
Yes.
Nope. Yeah, okay.
We can see us.
Okay.
Okay, what we're, I'll show you the, you wanna see the plan or you wanna see the actual gate itself?
Well, both.
So we wanna, submit an entry gate for this house. It's a traditional style house. It's gonna be 4 feet with some piers painted white. Let me just give you a gate concept. This is the concept elevation for the gate. It's going to be a diamond pattern.
Are there lights?
No lights.
What's the operating mechanism?
It's automated.
What is that?
operating.
Yeah, but is there a gooseneck on the street or is it from an
There is. There'll be a gooseneck on the street,
Okay.
which is right here on this,
Okay.
right outside.
Board members.
I'll chime in. I think gates on Lewis Street, this historic section of Lewis Street are disharmonious. I think the design of this gate is too highbrow for what otherwise are village houses, 4 squares, porches and the like. And so while we can't deny a gate, I wish the applicant would not put up a gate, but if they do, this design is too much, disharmonious, surely not an external mechanism on a street that doesn't have any. So that's a non-starter for me. I would suggest if they do continue to want to put a gate in, that they look at on Little Plains, and I think it's Little Plains and Herrick. There's a much larger house that has a very simple spindled gate that I think at its highest is 3.5 feet. Maybe it's 4 feet. You know, maybe that's okay. But so anyway, that's my opinion. But this gate as submitted would not get my approval.
Do we know the distance from the street?
It's 18 feet, 6 inches.
Okay.
Susan?
I don't know what to say right now.
I'll
Jane.
say that I do agree with Jeff that it's a very elaborate looking gate for such a simple house. I did go down Lewis Street a few times today, and I noticed that there is another gate on the street, but it's set way back in the driveway. And maybe something like that would be something to consider, as putting a gate way in the back instead of in the front. It also looks like to get the 18 feet, you're gonna have to add to the hedge and lose part of your parking space.
I will concur. This is kind of, we've spent a lot of time on this house. It's an important house to us because it's one of the oldest houses in Southampton. And the restoration work that's been done, and they're doing a very, very lovely job. This gate pulls too much focus against the architecture of the house and doesn't feel architecturally consistent with the village or that section of the village, and also doesn't feel architecturally harmonious with the house it stands in front of. So I think what you're hearing is that we would need to see something simpler, more visually recessive, because what we want people to experience, and the reason we require transparency for gates is so people can actually experience the architecture. In this particular case, the architecture of this house is incredibly important. Number two, I've been on the board 4 years. We have not approved gooseneck operations on streets, especially small residential streets that don't have them. So you will want to rethink the mechanism. Would either have to be on the column or fully automated. But something that pulls far less focus for this neighborhood feels more appropriate. Do I have comments from the public?
I mean, that's fine. The gooseneck issue, that's a non-issue.
Yeah.
I can easily change that. There is a gate that's down the road that's pretty much similar to his gate style that he has on his pedestrian gates around his house, but we didn't want to be too similar to that one. And it's probably 4 doors down, and it's pretty much right on the driveway. It's a manual mechanism. It's usually left in the open position, but there is, within, a stone's throw away, another gate that's fairly similar. Whether it's been by the board or not, I'm not sure. But I did have some other gate plans that were less elaborate than this one, but this is the one that the owner had chosen. So I am, willing to, redesign it, obviously.
Okay.
Something a little bit simpler or in style, the same style as Little Plains and
Right.
and the other one that you were talking about. It's not an issue. I just want to make sure that it represents what the homeowner wants.
And the gate,
are you saying that the distance off the street is non-negotiable, or you'd rather push it back?
Well, code is 18 feet. You're to code there.
Right.
What we're saying is gates that are recessed a little bit farther.
Or less intrusive.
They're less, less sort of visually intrusive, especially on this important house.
Yeah,
So
I'm surprised with all the work that was done on this house that you would want to detract from actually the visuals from the street. But I agree that one gate on Little Plains in Herrick is, it has a kind of casual, it's actually a good example of something that is less visually obtrusive. But in this particular case, this house, you know, all the historic preservation and all the work that went into that, to then have a thing that has nothing to do with it right in front of your eye is unfortunate. But want to have a gate, you can have a gate. It just needs to be simplified.
Okay.
All right, do you think you can be ready to represent on February the 12th?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I do.
So would you like us to adjourn to that date? Okay.
Please.
And there weren't comments from the public, right? Nobody raised their hand? Okay. Motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment to February 12th for 44 Lewis Street for a driveway gate. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Next up is new matters non-historic. The first one is Catherine Davis at 127 Moses Lane for a driveway gate. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Hello?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Hugo.
Michelle, if you'll
architect.
pull the mics are directional, so they have to be aimed right at you.
Okay.
And if you
Not
could
used
just
to that.
if you could just introduce yourself for the record.
Yeah, Michelle Hugo, architect, representing Catherine Davis at 127 Moses Lane. This is a proposal to, there is an existing gate which is non-conforming, and so this is a proposal to move the gate to a conforming location, 18 feet from the edge of pavement at the closest point, and to actually keep the same style gate but increase the transparency to meet the conforming code, which right now it's only 23%, and we would be removing pickets, which has been confirmed by the contractor that that is possible, to create 41% transparency there. There would be no lights, and it would also be a manual gate, so there's no operational or mechanism to operate it.
So are you taking an existing gate and just taking pickets out of it, or are you building a new one?
We are taking the pickets out of it.
You're taking existing gates and taking the pickets out and make it more conforming?
Make it more conforming.
We need more of you.
Well, I mean, the style is appropriate to the street, and so we want to make it
Okay.
conforming.
So are you moving the, either side? Because it does look like they do have lights on them now.
Yes, we are
You're
rebuilding those.
Those will be rebuilt, you're not reusing those?
No.
Okay.
You're rebuilding the pillars
We are building the pillars
without
and no
light.
lights.
And they will be what color?
White.
Okay. And you're increasing the transparency by removing the pickets from non-conforming gates and making them conforming.
Correct.
Okay. Board members?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think you will become the poster child for gates.
You might be
Oh,
busy. People go around enforcing those non-conforming. Might be in demand.
I'm sorry, can you state again the height of the gates?
The center height is 3'6", and it's 4 inches off the grade, so it's 3'10" and a quarter.
And at the end?
And then at the outer edge, the taller is a foot higher than that, so it's 4'10" from the grade.
From the grade. Okay. Any comments from the public? Okay, motion to accept the gate redesign, the project for 127 Moses Lane. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go make more neighbors. This is good.
Drive around. Leave your card.
We like really helpful people. That's great. Thank you. Okay, next up is Glenn and Rachel McGrath at 143 Meadowmere for driveway gates. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Hello? I always appreciate the patience of the gate people because you guys are always at the end.
The gate people.
Yes, all the people that do gates.
It used to be
Yes.
in the beginning, I believe.
Yeah, they used to be.
So if you could pull the mic over, introduce yourself for the public, that'd be great.
So Louis Folo, agent for Glenn and Michelle McGrath at 143 Meadowmere Lane.
And I'm Jessica Edge, landscape designer for the client.
Okay.
For motion due landscape.
So we're proposing driveway gates. They're 4'6" tall, 15 foot wide, set back 22 feet from the street. They'll be made of 2x8 mahogany painted white. There's no, it's automated, but the keypad will be on the post, and there's no lighting.
Can you show us? Can you
The actual
zoom
gate.
in on the actual gate?
The start.
Sorry. Right there. And this is a picture. There's a similar gate down on Meadow Lane.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you went to the village website to get the application, did you read the gate policy?
Yeah.
Okay. And the gate policy says it require 40% transparency?
Correct.
And you're telling me this is 40% transparent?
Correct.
What are the width of the members?
It's 2x8, so there's 7 inches.
And what's the width? And then what's the gap distance?
I believe that is also 7 inches.
Not in the picture. First of all, normally when someone brings us a design, this is not the size. Do you have a bigger rendering? Do you have a better picture of it?
I think that was submitted with in the packet.
Is there a better, Alex?
I'm looking, I see a lot of pictures of other gate
Yeah.
examples, but I'm not seeing the proposed gate.
Is there a full-size set in the file, maybe?
I think I submitted a 24 by 36.
Yeah, but is this the page of your 24 by 36 where the actual gate you're asking to approve is like this little picture on a huge sheet?
It is on page.
Yeah.
That's it?
I mean, you
Okay.
have so many pictures here of all these neighbors, but I'm not seeing, there's no picture of what you're
The
proposing.
picture, well, it's all on this one sheet. There's the drawing, there's the inspiration.
Okay, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see an actual rendering of the gate, a full-scale drawing of the gate.
Full scale drawing.
Yeah, like
Like
this,
like
a picture of the gate, because
This is the picture of the gate you're saying?
yeah, this little thing. So there's not enough material here to actually make a determination on because it's too hard to read.
And we need numbers in there.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a rendering of what this is going to look like.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because it almost looks like you're saying you want to be like that gate?
That's the inspiration that's not conforming. So we
For
don't
sure.
have to
Yeah, it's
conform.
not
sure,
conforming,
yeah.
and I don't think it would go with the house either. It doesn't look like it would. That's why it's so
just
hard to.
simple horizontal.
Yeah, it's just painted white.
But okay, but
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, we really need to see real. We need to see real drawings and real renderings.
Right.
This is. You've given me a lot of information here, but what you haven't actually, and your site plan is tiny. We actually need to see a rendering and full-size drawing of the gate.
Of the gate itself.
Okay.
Because that's what we're voting on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, how big are the slats? What's the part in between?
Calculated transparency, all of that.
That's what
That's
we
that's
have
visible and
agreed to.
readable.
Okay.
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 I just have a question. So
Mhm.
the existing house had a circular driveway, and we're taking away one of the entrances and just having one entrance. Does that have to be part of the?
You're eliminating a curb cut.
Correct.
It's not for us to know.
It's not, okay. I didn't know
Is
if
that
that
true?
was.
I'm not sure I understand.
They're changing the site plan. They're going from a circular driveway that had two gates.
No
No
gates at all.
Had no gate. There was a
It's just
circular driveway that had no
driveway.
gates. They're closing up on the curb cuts and proposing only one gate. Because we're,
Not about us.
yeah, that's not about us. We're about the
That's
gate.
what
We're
the
about the
drive-
gates.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you
Next
feel like you
time?
can be ready for the 12th?
Absolutely.
Wait, public comment?
Okay.
Oh,
Are there any public
public
comment?
We're so popular.
Okay. Motion to accept the application for 143 Meadowmere for a driveway gate to adjourn to February 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you then.
I'm
Thank you.
so sorry. Can we take like a 3-minute recess.
Okay.
Yes.
We only have
Thank
one.
you.
Do we have one more?
All right.
Yeah, we have one more.
Three.
I'll count them down. Go.
Okay, I'm trying to scoot in. Can you get past? Barely. Is this yours?
Hmm? Yes.
I forgot my.
I'm gonna get coffee.
So do they have to do
I
anything?
forgot my dates.
Yeah, they'll have to probably put in curbing and things like that.
But do they have to put in, like, a request for that?
We put in a request, yes, for
Okay.
highway.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna refuse it and say, no, you can't fill it in.
Yeah.
Right? Are we off the thing?
I don't think we're off, so that's why I'm way away from the, mic.
What?
I said I'm way away from the mic,
Why?
because I don't want anyone to hear what I'm saying, that's all.
We're talking.
You could have asked me to turn it on.
Oh, well, thank you.
We like, well, I like to see. I mean, I actually like to see what I'm seeing. Okay. Next up is 1210 Meadow Lane LLC for a driveway gate. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Great.
See, I'm like a new woman.
See, there we go.
There we go.
That's what we want to see.
Look, there's no house there yet.
We like big.
The house is back here. It's not there yet, though, is it?
I know, no, it's built under
They're
construction.
building
Yeah, but it's not there. That's
No.
what's hard to imagine the gate, because I went down there today,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, it's just a lot of
Trucks.
dunes. Yeah, dunes.
They got the piles in, they did all that,
And-
that's all done.
And we're going for this so early because the amount of time it's going to take you to manufacture it.
No.
Yeah,
We want to make it perfect.
we want to make it perfect, you know.
All right,
So,
go ahead.
relocating Melissa Dedovich, Peconic Environmental.
You can pull that really close.
Melissa Dedovich, Peconic Environmental, with,
Rambot Mirbajo from LaGuardia Design Group.
Okay.
and we're 1210 Meadow Lane. We're getting a little punchy now. So
You. Go ahead.
we're relocating the driveway from where it originally was, which was along the east side of the property. And this is the plan that was approved by the board when we were here for the house. And this is the gate. And do you want to explain the gate?
Yeah, so the gate is basically matching with the siding of the house, which is a mahogany, and we're going to let it weather. It's going to be 1 by 1 3/4 thickets by 2 inches gap, and it's a 52% transparency, although it's actually more than 52%. We are putting it 30 feet away from the street, and there's no gooseneck. We're just putting the whole thing on the piers.
Column.
On the columns, yeah.
Okay.
We are basically having two screens because it's a double sliding gate, so we need those for the mechanism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we have the access code over there.
The end.
What's with the two screens?
You're not that quick.
So do they overlap?
It's actually a double sliding gate, so it opens from the center. It
Yeah.
goes on two sides, so it
Oh,
needs
okay.
two motors. Yeah.
All the motors.
I hate to ask this question. No, never mind. It's fine. Okay.
We're trying to basically, we will cover both sides with Bayberry and then we transform it.
And 30 feet off the street.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you can read it.
Yep. What, I'm sorry, one more time, what's the color?
It's
It's
mahogany.
mahogany,
Yeah.
to be left to weather.
Yep.
Okay, so it's gonna go dark, okay. Board members?
I have
Another
no
poster
objection.
child for,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
gates.
No objection. Well
Yes.
presented.
This is
Well
what,
said.
this is what minimal visual impact looks like. Jeff?
It's no objections, and I agree.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Motion to accept the application for 1210 Meadow Lane for a driveway gate. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Wow.
you.
That was a
All
long
right.
way for that.
So with that, our last one, motion to close tonight's meeting of the Southampton Board of Architecture, Review and Historic Preservation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.